Chapter 33. Frank. Frank was relieved when the wheels fell off. He'd already thrown up twice from the back of the chariot, which was not fun at the speed of sound. The horse seemed to bend time and space as he ran, blurring the landscape and making Frank feel like he just drunk a gallon of whole milk without his lactose intolerance medicine. Ella didn't help matters. She kept muttering, 750 miles per hour, 800, 803, fast, very fast. The horse sped north across Puget Sound, zooming past islands and fishing boats and very surprised pods of whales. The landscape ahead began to look familiar. Crescent Beach, Boundary Bay. Frank had gone sailing here once on a school trip. Then they crossed into Canada. The horse rocketed onto dry land. He followed Highway 99 north, running so fast the car seemed to be standing still. Finally, just as they were getting to Vancouver, the chariot wheels began to smoke. "Hazel!" Frank yelled. "We're breaking up!" She got the message and pulled the reins. The horse didn't seem happy about it, but he slowed to subsonic as they zipped through the city streets. They crossed the Ironworkers Bridge into northern Vancouver, and the chariot started to rattle dangerously. At last, Aryan stopped at the top of a wooden hill. He snorted with satisfaction, as if to say, "That's how we run, fools." The smoking chariot collapsed, spilling Percy, Frank, and Ella onto the wet, mossy ground. Frank stumbled to his feet. He tried to blink the yellow spots out of his eyes. Percy groaned and started unhitching Aryan from the ruined chariot. Ella fluttered around in dizzy circles, bonking into trees and muttering, "Tree, tree, tree!" Only Hazel seemed unaffected by the ride. Grinning with pleasure, she slid off the horse's back. "That was fun!" "Yeah," Frank swallowed back his nausea. "So much fun." Aryan whinnied. "He says we need to eat," Percy translated. "No wonder. He probably burned about 6 million calories." Hazel studied the ground at her feet and frowned. "I'm not sensing any gold around here. Sorry, Aryan. I'll find you some. In the meantime, why don't you go graze? We'll meet you—" The horse zipped off, leaving a trail of steam in his wake. Hazel knit her eyebrows. "Do you think he'll come back?" "I don't know," Percy said. "He seems kind of spirited." Frank almost hoped the horse would stay away. He didn't say that, of course. He could tell Hazel was distressed by the idea of losing her new friend. But Aryan scared him, and Frank was pretty sure the horse knew it. Hazel and Percy started salvaging supplies from the chariot wreckage. There'd been a few boxes of random Amazon merchandise in the front, and Ella shrieked with delight when she found a shipment of books. She snatched a copy of The Birds of North America, fluttered to the nearest branch, and began scratching through the pages so fast Frank wasn't sure if she was reading or shredding. Frank leaned against a tree, trying to control his vertigo. He still hadn't recovered from his Amazon imprisonment, getting kicked across the lobby, disarmed, caged, and insulted as a baby man by an egomaniacal horse. They hadn't exactly helped his self-esteem. Even before that, the vision he had shared with Hazel had left him rattled. He felt closer to her now. He knew he'd done the right thing in giving her the piece of firewood. A huge weight had been taken off of his shoulders. On the other hand, he'd seen the underworld firsthand. He had felt what it was like to sit forever doing nothing, just regretting your mistakes. He'd looked up at those creepy gold masks on the judges of the dead and realized that he would stand before them someday, maybe very soon. Frank had always dreamed of seeing his mother again when he died, but maybe that wasn't possible for demigods. Hazel had been in a Faceto for something like 70 years and never found her mom. Frank hoped that his mom would end up with him in Elysium, if he ended up in Elysium. But if Hazel hadn't gotten there, sacrificing her life to stop Gaia, taking responsibility for her actions so that her mother wouldn't end up in punishment, what Frank did Frank have? He'd never done anything that heroic. He straightened and looked around, trying to get his bearings. To the south, across Vancouver Harbor, the downtown skyline gleamed red in the sunlight. To the north, the hills of the rainforests of Lincoln Canyon Park snaked between the subdivisions of North Vancouver until they gave way to the wilderness. Frank had explored these parks for years. He spotted a bend in the river that looked familiar. He recognized a dead pine tree that had been split by lightning in the nearby clearing. Frank knew this hill. "I'm practically home," he said. "My grandmother's house is right over here." Hazel squinted. "How far?" "Just over the river and through the woods." Percy raised his eyebrow. "Seriously? To grandmother's house we go?" Frank cleared his throat. "Yeah, anyway." Hazel clapped her hands in a prayer. "Frank, please tell me she'll let us spend the night. I know we're on a deadline, but we've got to rest, right? and Aryan saved us some time. Maybe we can get an actual cooked meal.